Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your... What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Geeky Gecko Creations live stream Monday. This is my time to just hang out with you guys, answer questions, talk geckos, reptile hobby, and the like. So it's pretty cool to be here with you fellow reptile lovers. If this is your first time joining us, thank you very much. I hope you find a home here that you feel welcome to, where you can just hang out with other cool reptile people like Travis Bittner in the house, Sir Goo. I don't know if you've been in here before. Harrison in the house, Bam Bam Geckos, DNS Geckos, us, Geeky Gecko Creations, Norman, always live and active. That's really cool. So I appreciate you guys being here. I don't really have any topics to kick it off or get started with. So if you guys got any questions, you know the usual, go ahead and post them in the chat and I'll get to answering those as quickly as possible. You know, I can kind of run on with my answers and whatnot. Oh, I guess there is a new announcement. I would like to start promoting wholesale opportunities or partnerships with people who follow us or who maybe want to like sell geckos at shows or maybe like keep some of these geckos and raise them to be breeders for themselves and then sell the other geckos. So instead of me going directly to normal wholesalers right away, I want to offer, you know, bulk geckos to our followers to see if there's any interest there. So if you are interested in wholesale, we are starting to do that now. So feel free to reach out to me. Shane asks, how many lizards do you house? Right now, we probably have somewhere around like 600 live leopard geckos and a couple hundred more eggs in the incubator and females that are still breeding. And that's mixed sizes. So, you know, that's probably 200-300 adults, 200-300 juveniles and babies that are growing up. A lot of them are holdbacks because I would like to produce on mass scale. And also whenever you want to create like art, like the best art, you need a lot of geckos to use to create that. So just because you buy a $1,000 gecko and another $1,000 gecko doesn't mean all the babies are going to be the same quality. You might get a couple babies that are like $1,000 quality, but you might get other babies that are like $400 or $500 quality. On top of that, it's really hard to sell $1,000 geckos consistently all year long. So that's why I want to also have a lot of wholesale opportunities, medium and lower end price geckos, so that I could truly make a successful business out of this, you know? So let's see here. Season is going good, Travis. Yeah, we're hatching a lot of geckos. What was I going to show? There was something I was going to show. Oh no, it was mealworm sizes I was going to show tomorrow on a Instagram reel. But anyway, our leopard gecko season is going good. We're producing a lot, which is why I would like to offer some wholesale now to you guys before I officially offer them to actual wholesalers that will sell them across the country and stuff. So is it normal for a new leopard gecko not to eat? It can be normal. It depends on the age of your gecko. If the gecko is like a couple days old, that can be normal. If the gecko is new to your collection, that could be normal. If the gecko just isn't hungry because it had food within the last couple of days, that could be normal. Also, the gecko might not eat because it's stressed, either from the move or from parasites. So there's a lot of different things that it could be. The number one thing you want to look out for is parasites. And I'm going to do a video on this soon, but for parasites, you want to look out for a gecko that you're feeding consistently and it's still getting skinnier, or a gecko that does not eat whatsoever. That could mean that its stomach is bothered by the fact that there's a parasite overload in its intestinal tract, and it might not want to go through the stress of eating because it feels like it's not getting the nutrients it needs anyway. I wouldn't jump right away to parasite, but it is something that you want to keep an eye on, especially if you got the gecko from like an unreputable breeder that you don't know if they have parasites, or
If they feed crickets, crickets is more popular with parasites than mealworms. Or if you got the gecko from a pet store, that could be parasite indicative, because pet stores often get their geckos from large breeders that oftentimes have parasite issues or can have parasite issues. I'm not saying that large breeders want to, because it's not good for their customer service either. If they have geckos they're shipping out to Petco, PetSmart, mom and pop shops, and the geckos are skinny or not thriving, their customers are going to hear it from them. So it's not that they don't want to, it's just that when you're working on mass level like that, things happen. Bam Bam. Shout out to Hicks Geckos on the Black Knight purchase. That's awesome. I guess I missed it. Did he say he purchased the Black Knight? Or maybe it was in his Instagram story or something like that. But yeah, congratulations. Black Knight is a great project. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of the next Tangerine. So everyone started tangerines, 15, 20 years ago, and they started breeding so many different lines of tangerine to create better blood and better, and then they started combining it with better mutations, stronger blood by outcrossing it and whatnot. So all of that still has to be done with the Black Knight, and it's a great project to get into because it's still brand new for the most part, especially in America. We can always go for a darker and darker gecko, always, and especially a darker gecko that has fresher DNA. So, a lot of Black Knights are kind of small, runty geckos at times, because their DNA has been compacted for so long. But by spreading that out to wilder type bloodlines or farther related bloodlines, that will increase the overall size, health, and quality of the animals. So that project needs to be worked. But also breeding Black Knight into like albino, white and yellow, fasciolatus, Turkmenicus, Afghanicus. Black Knight into lemon frost has already been done. I don't really have plans to do that necessarily, but Black Knight into tangerine, that's another popular project right now, is the Mandarin tangerine and Black Knight project. So Mr. Wizard, the best way to contact me, and I'll leave my phone number in the chat, is my phone number. So 480-299-7657. Because that's the fastest way to reach out to me. If you message me on Instagram or email me, or reach out on Facebook Messenger or YouTube, I'll get to it eventually. But texting me at that number or calling me and leaving a voicemail if I don't pick up, that is absolutely the fastest way. 480-299-7657. Just dropped it in the chat right there. DNS says, I live with a tarantula cat. Would be cool. Don't know if you could get her in a live. I think a live with tarantula cat would be cool. If not, she's busy. Tarantula cat, I feel like I've reached out to her. Let me check, because I think she is a big influence in the community. Tarantula cat, not K, cat. That is not her. That is not her. That is not her. Oh, is she on YouTube maybe? Let me see. I'm so sick of... I feel like I have seen her on YouTube. Yeah, Tarantula Cat. I'm pretty sure I reached out to her on Instagram Messenger. Let me double check my chats. But not everybody's always like willing or able to do live streams. Yeah, Tarantula Cat. I did. I reached out to her and she didn't message me back yet, but she has a very big following. I can't even tell if she saw my message. It doesn't even show that she saw it or anything. So we'll see. But I did reach out to her because she is a big influencer. Bam Bam, breeding season has been slow for me. That's another reason why, if you're trying to breed for a little bit of profit, or if you're trying to breed to really enhance your collection fast, that's another reason why you want a lot of females, because anything can happen. Females could reabsorb. Females cannot lay. Females can lay infertile eggs. Males can have bad sperm. So you always want backup males, and especially a lot of backup females. I would say you probably want to run like a 1-to-5 ratio of males to females. So if you got 10 females, you probably want at least 2 males to breed to those 10 females, at least. It would be better if you had 3 or 4 males as backup. But literally, we bred one of our males. We bred him like 300 to 400 times this year, including like repairs and stuff. I would not suggest that because their sperm count starts to run a little bit low and you might not get the most fertility out of him. It is banking a big risk. You know, if you take one male and you're breeding into 30 females, it's a risk that he's going to hurt his hemipene. It's a risk that one of the females is going to hurt him. It's a risk that if you're relying on his DNA for 30 females and he chooses not to breed any of them, all 30 of those females now don't give you any babies. You know what I mean? So it's good to have backups. That's the bottom line. Would you buy your gecko crickets from PetSmart or Petco, whatever? I used to, like back in the day when I was a kid, but honestly, I would rather go to like, you know, our sponsor nowadays, like Rainbow Mealworms, or there's some other good vendors out there. You could just Google them, like where to get crickets and stuff like that. I wouldn't say going to PetSmart is bad, but here's one of the issues. Petco and PetSmart are known to carry diseases like crypto, coccidia, and their employees are touching the animals. And then their employees are touching the food source. And then you're walking into the store and touching the food source and bringing it back to your house. I like to calculate risk. And that is a risk that I would not like to calculate for. Now, reptile-specific stores are a little bit better. They have their own fair share of health issues and parasite-related issues as well because they're a blockchain. They're a mass store that deals in bulk. And anytime you have that, there's going to be health issues you need to be aware of. So if you can't get the animal shipped directly to you or available for pickup at like FedEx or something from an actual cricket breeder that's professional and has a good reputation, like Rainbow Mealworms, shout out to our sponsor. And Rainbow Mealworms is great, by the way. If they guarantee you live arrival and you go through their process to guarantee live arrival, no questions asked. They give you that money back, or they resend the food source to you. I would highly recommend you guys consider, if you're in hot areas, overnighting your food source, because even if you ship it 2 to 3 days and they guarantee live arrival, but it arrives dead, they're going to refund you or send another order. But now you might be waiting another 2 to 3 days or the weekend, and it might be a week before you get your food. So if you are relying upon that food immediately, pay the 20, 30 extra bucks to have it overnighted to you. It's worth it. And then if they die, they'll pay it to have it overnighted again. And you're only behind by 2 days, instead of, if you ship it 3-day shipping and it dies, they're going to ship it 3-day shipping again. And if that dies, they're going to ship it 3-day shipping again. And if that dies, now you've been a week and a half, 2 weeks without food. So just something to keep in mind. But that's why I, who is concerned about quality control, because I'm breeding animals for sale, I would not buy my feeders from Petco, PetSmart, or reptile pet stores because it's just too big of a risk for me. Once you become a breeder and you're actually relying upon your collection to be really, really healthy, then you'll want to spend the extra time and resources and money to make sure you're getting the best of the best. And by the way, if you're ordering online in bulk from these stores, that probably is the cheapest anyway. Bam Bam should have some Tango Crush babies. Yeah, Tango Crush is a great bloodline. Great combination created by Gecko Daddy. Great info, just what's happening to one of my geckos. Bam Bam. Recently just been hatching blizzards and a few normals. Blizzards are always good for selling. They're great for the pet industry, you know? So sorry for that slurping. My throat is a little dry, and it always hurts after like these live streams, and I feel a little sick, probably because like I'm working all day and then I do the live stream and then I have to work after the live stream, and it's hot in the gecko room. So I don't think I drink enough water, but I need to. So I actually just did a video on this. Have you seen issue of D3 overdose yourself? I have not. If you watched our most recent video, which is which our most recent video. It's not our most recent video actually, but look, that's us live right now. The video that I did that talks about that is right here. The most dangerous disorder. If you guys have not seen this video, check this video out. It is a video about MBD, metabolic bone disease. And in that video, we also talk about D3 overdose. So metabolic bone disease is D3 underdose. Basically, it's not having enough D3 and the bones become disformed. But if you have too much D3, the bones can also be disformed. It's much more rare, but it can and does happen. I've never seen it personally. And the way that you could overdose on D3, there's only really one way you could overdose on D3, to my knowledge, is if you're feeding the animal insects that are dusted with a lot of D3 and you're giving them high amounts of UVB. But even then, I give all my outdoor tegus, like the baby juvenile tegus that are outdoors, I give them osteoform on top of their chicken and gizzards meals because it doesn't have bone in it. And I've never seen any issues with D3 overdose with them. And if you guys know anything about the Arizona sun, it is intense. So if they're not having D3 overdose with the Arizona sun and a huge amount, I give them a huge amount of osteoform and vionate mixture, the 1-to-3 ratio. I give them a gigantic amount of that on top of their chicken and heart mix and stuff like that. And if they're not experiencing D3 overdose, I don't think you need to worry about it inside your little cage. If you have a UVB light for a leopard gecko and you're still giving them osteoform, which has D3 in it. So, but in theory, what I've read about D3 overdose is it has similar effects to D3 underdose, which is the bones become weak, disformed, malfunctioned. So, what's going on, Dragonheart? Good to see you. Norman has 13 females and 6 males. That's a good ratio. 1-to-2 ratio there. Just about. Daniel Woodgerard, baby hatched a little underdeveloped. That happens. Really tough sheds. That happens. Keeping it humid. Tried olive oil baths. 2 sheds so far. Second shed. So something Daniel brings up a good point. Some babies will be born small or maybe with like disformed eyes, or they just won't look as strong. Their skin will be a little loose, a little wrinkly. Their jawline will be a little misaligned, or their head shape might be a little stubby. If you see a gecko that does not look 100% normal or healthy, that gecko may have shedding issues. And it might be tied to just the weak genetics of the animal. Not only is the animal struggling with its basic motor skills, so it's not that great to like take its own shed off, but it also might have some kind of vitamin deficiency that is causing those health issues in the first place and will continue to cause shedding issues as a baby all the way into adulthood. Now, Daniel, you don't have to consider this, but this is something that I'm doing right now. Geckos like that, I'm just choosing to put those geckos down as quickly and humanely as possible. And the reason is because it's going to take a lot of time and effort and observation for you to spend with that animal. If you can do that, go ahead and do that. But the animal might not ever recover. In my experience, a lot of animals that are having that issue as a baby will have that issue all throughout adulthood. And even if it gets a little bit better, it might not ever grow to full size. It might not ever be a breeder. So you either have to keep it as a pet forever or sell it as a pet forever, or put it out of its misery now, and you don't have to risk the time, money, effort that's going to go into raising that animal or finding a home for it, or it getting abused in a home from somebody that takes it because it's free, and then they wind up not caring for it because it's free. That does happen. So or if somebody breeds it and it passes on its bad genetics, its weak genetics, it could either kill the animal, number one, or it will pass on its weak genetics to the offspring, number two. So you don't have to take the same perspective as me, but as a breeder who's trying to produce only the healthiest of the healthiest animals, I've just started putting those animals down humanely when I come across issues like that, or using them as feeders for my other animals. I have a sailfin dragon over here that I've been feeding baby leopard geckos to that are born with issues. I have a bearded dragon that I've been doing the same with, and I also have tegus, that I can also do the same with. So little food for thought. I might also be careful overdosing that gecko in oil. I don't know the results of that. Geckos lick themselves, right? So if you're washing a gecko in oil, oil does not come off very easily. And then if they're licking their skin and it's full of oil, I don't know. You said it seemed to help, so I'll take your word on that. But at the same time, it's going to be getting in its digestive tract, and I don't know the results of that. It's probably not bad, but something you want to keep an eye out for. Henry Hicks, rainbow is the way to go. Yeah, I've started looking at some other suggestions lately because there are people that suggest like other vendors, but it seems like rainbow mealworms is more in stock. So there's a lot of mealworm shortages right now, and rainbow mealworms is more in stock, and they have the best pricing. So, like Uncle Jim's mealworm farm, that's good. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but Uncle Jim's mealworm farm is like twice the cost of rainbows, but they include shipping. However, they're sold out. They include shipping. So by the time that you pay for shipping with rainbow mealworms, you're probably still only saving like 25% at rainbow mealworms. But still, if you're saving $25 out of every $100 you spend with rainbow mealworms, that's better in my opinion. It's cheaper. I mean, it's cheaper in my opinion. And I could be wrong because I don't buy from Uncle Jim's. I just took a quick look at his prices and try to compare it to Rainbow's, especially when Rainbow is limiting their orders right now. So like you can only order 20,000 larges or 20,000 mediums a week. You can hack the system by ordering both. You can order 20,000 mediums and 20,000 larges. I'm going to release a short little video tomorrow showing the difference between the size of a medium and a large. And a large is definitely bigger. I'm going to start ordering larges for my adults and keeping my babies and babies on mealworms and juveniles on larges because you're just getting more bang for your buck. Can I text your phone number? And we have crickets from PetSmart. Yeah, you can text my phone number. I don't know if you're in this country, though. And if you're not in this country, it might be very expensive. So in that case, you'll want to reach out on Instagram or Messenger. Instagram or Messenger, Geeky Gecko Creations. Saw your video about the drop tail. So, okay, time to confess. Time to confess about how the drop tail happened. It was my fault because so when moving baby leopard geckos, when I'm cleaning hundreds of geckos at a time, and I want to move these geckos as quickly as possible. I've always moved adult, juvenile, and baby leopard geckos by the tail because I pick them up by the tail, I move them where I need to very quickly. I know how hard and how soft to squeeze the tail without it injuring the tail or any of that. It's never been an issue. Thousands of times I've moved these geckos. Is that a ghost or my cat behind me? Oh, it's Whitney. I was like, what? I totally just saw something. So, um, so anyway, I grabbed the gecko by the tail and it dropped its tail. So the reason I grab babies by the tail is because their ribs are sensitive. And it's really hard sometimes to grab them by the rib without squeezing too hard. And if you do try to grab them by the rib, they oftentimes move, they scurry anyway, and you wind up grabbing them by the tail anyway. So instead, I just, like if this was their tail, I would aim for the tail, lightly grab it, put them down where they need to be put. It was never an issue except this time. So now it's got me taking the extra time to kind of just grab them by the ribs or like scoop them into my hand because you can't really sell geckos without tails for full price and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're moving hundreds or thousands of geckos, you need a fast way to do it, to move through everything. So So yeah, you guys can text my phone number if you're in America. If you're not in America, I might not answer the text because it might cost me money. But you can message me on Instagram at Geeky Gecko Creations or Messenger. But if you're in America, feel free to shoot me a text. I dropped my number in the chat earlier, 480-299-7657. Call us if you want some wholesale geckos. If you're starting to run some shows in your area, or you have a pet shop, or you know someone who has a pet shop, we want to sell you some nice geckos for as low price as we can go. Thanks, Bam Bam. Appreciate the Monday night stream. I would like to see leopard geckos become more community based like this, in the same way that like ball pythons are, because it's still so fun to breed leopard geckos. Arguably, it's quicker, faster, funner to breed leopard geckos than it is to breed ball pythons. Now, I got to say this, I'm very excited breeding ball pythons just because there's a ton of combinations that have not been made yet, and always new combinations to chase. But that's why you need to be creative in leopard geckos. There's still a bunch of combinations we need to chase in leopard geckos. I mean, who has a red leopard gecko? Nobody. Who has a black and red leopard gecko? Nobody. Who has a purple leopard gecko? Nobody. Who has a wild type like a fasciolatus tangerine that's really good quality? Nobody. Who has an Afghanicus Black Knight that's really good quality? Nobody. These are the things that I want to promote and shoot for to excite the leopard gecko hobby into realizing that there's so much that still needs to be done and so many cool combos to make. And also, new people that's coming in are still interested in really looking to make those combos, even the older combos. You know what I mean? So, yeah, geckos is great. Leopard geckos, I feel like, will always be my number one, no matter what. Even if I dive deeper into ball pythons, which, you know, I am doing now. But I thought I answered this question. How many lizards do you house? So we probably have like 600 leopard geckos right now. We probably have 100 or so tegus. We have like 40 tegu eggs that are about to hatch. We have like 20 tegu babies. We have like 5 to like 7 5 tegu breeders and like 10 tegu holdback breeders. And then we have a bearded dragon, a sailfin dragon. And then we have like 70 to 100 ball pythons. So animals, all in general, probably like 1,000, but leopard geckos, probably like 600 right now, with a few hundred more eggs yet to hatch this year. And we're growing a lot of those into adults so that we can make even more. So, oh, something happened with the chat. Hold on, let me get back to where. Yeah, we do use tweezers to pull off stuck shed. Sometimes, especially for babies, they get really stuck around the fingers. And in that case, if you don't want to accidentally pull their fingers off or their tendons, you'll want to let the leopard geckos sit in water for a decent amount of time, like just shoulder high water or elbow high water if they're babies, and just let that really soften up. And then you might have to be very gentle with your tweezers. I'm a morph market calculator, and it says a normal and a blazing blizzard will be 100% het albino tremper, 100% het blizzard. What does this mean? That's because a blazing blizzard is a tremper albino blizzard. So, Harrison, what you want to do is you want to go to our YouTube channel, and I'm going to start making more beginner-friendly videos for this, but you want to so type in leopard gecko genetics, geeky gecko creations. Okay. Hold on. This is the general YouTube search bar. Type in leopard gecko genetics, geeky gecko creations. We have 4 videos on leopard gecko genetics. This is video number 3. We have 6 videos. Sorry, because there's 2 on line breeding. This is video number 1. Okay, let me actually put video number 1. Actually, hold on. I'll do you one better. I have a playlist to these 6 videos. Watch these 6 videos, study these 6 videos, and learn about dominant traits, recessive traits, incomplete dominant traits, line bred traits. You want to learn about all of that kind of stuff. And I'll send you the playlist here so that you can binge watch these 6 videos would be my recommendation. And by the end of these videos, it will explain to you what I cannot in 5 minutes, all about genetics. So here's our genetics series. I will drop a link to it in the chat box here. Okay, it's going in. It's in. It's done. All right, so check that out, please, in your own time. Really good series on how genetics work in leopard geckos. Oh, wow. I'm behind in a few questions here. Have some black knights. I'm trying to decide what I should breed them to. 1 female, 1 male. I would honestly breed them to each other and create more black knights, because the Black Knight project is not going to end with Black Knights. It's going to be bred into Tangerine, White and Yellow, Afghanicus, Fasciolatus, Mandarin. It's going to be bred into Snow, Eclipse, all of these genes. But you need a lot of Black Knights to then breed into those genetics. So I would try to just produce more Black Knights. Or if you don't want to do that, I would probably breed like your best quality Tangerine to it, or your darkest geckos to it, or eclipse geckos to it. That kind of route. Brooke, what's going on, Brooke? You didn't miss much. Just talking geckos, having a good time. We're raising our own mealworms easy, and they get going pretty fast. Yeah, if you want to breed your own mealworms, you can. A lot of people develop allergies to them. So be careful. I would recommend a N95 mask. So if you guys don't know what an N95 mask is, because seriously, I'm not joking, people die from this or develop cancer from this. So an N95 mask, you can get them from Amazon. You just type in N95 mask and you can get these from Amazon. You don't want to develop cancer from breeding your own mealworms, right? So take that very seriously. People have been known to develop allergies so bad that they have to leave the leopard gecko hobby. And we're talking big breeders that have left the leopard gecko hobby for developing allergies to the mealworm, frass and dust and all of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, if you guys know anyone who works in a paint shop, a dust shop, outside in the sand, all of that dust is going into your system and can cause cancer and stuff like that. So you want to be careful. It's the same with mealworms. And then once you get to the level that like you're an actual breeder and you need tons and tons of mealworms, it might not be worth the time for you to breed your own. So the good thing is you can buy them super, super cheap from rainbowmealworms.net, and you can store them in your refrigerator at 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and they will stay good for 3 months. Hey, sir, watching your vlog in Gecko. I'm happy and learning geckos. Yeah, you're welcome, Rex. Are you Filipino, Rex? A lot of Filipinos talk like that, like sir, sir. Very respectful. Appreciate it. You can build a self-sifting mealworm colony, but again, all that frass and dust is still going up into the air, so just be careful. How's it going, Gecko Punk? Janelle, if you've had thousands and lost one tail, it's okay. Thank you. As soon as it happened, I was like, no. That was literally my reaction when I lost the gecko's tail for a couple reasons. Number one, I just don't want a gecko to lose his tail. Number two, I also realize now that that's cut the value of that gecko in half when I go to sell that gecko. So, how do you have leopard gecko that came from white and yellow tremper to sun glow? Oh, Yeah, we have white and yellow geckos. So if you're looking to buy geckos, just like this video says, we are now selling geckos as low as $49 wholesale. That's if you buy 20 or more, and you can choose any 20 from our website. So let me show you how this would work. Any of these geckos, like this gecko's, valued at 200. This gecko's valued at 125. This gecko's valued at 125. You could choose any 20 of these geckos for $49 each plus shipping. Or if you want 10, you could choose any 10 of these geckos for $59 each plus shipping. And there's some very nice white and yellows in here, but the white and yellows usually go fast. So like this white and yellow raptor sold. This white and yellow sold. This white and yellow sold. But there are a couple white and yellows that aren't sold. Like this one right here. I believe this is a white and yellow and it's not sold. This is actually a pretty nice bold stripe right here. That if you have a bold stripe project, check out that tail. Like the stripes go down the tail for 125. That's amazing, especially if you buy it wholesale at 59. This gecko right here, a lot of green coloration, so that's what we're known for. This is our Inferno Bold and Marine crosses. Very pretty geckos. But there's some other white and yellow stuff here, I do believe. This white and yellow sold. The white and yellows usually sell really quickly. Like this gecko, you could get this for $59 if you buy 10 or more, $49 if you buy 20. And that'll be a good gecko to breed into colorful projects like purple projects, green projects. If you're trying to make your own clown line, that could be pretty decent. Here, this is a white and yellow Turkmenicus. How cool is that? Where else can you find a white and yellow Turkmenicus? Show me a white and yellow Turkmenicus anywhere in the hobby. And I'm only selling this thing for $110. Or you could buy it wholesale for $49 or $59. So that's my goal. It's always been my goal to bring high quality animals, unique animals for high quality price, right? Quality animals for quality price. And a lot of those animals that you see on that website, that's our lowest end stuff. We haven't even started advertising or selling our medium end or highest end stuff yet because we're holding on to all of that. But even that stuff I'll offer wholesale. But for now, that's what we have wholesale, so. What expo are you going to, Bam Bam? Is it out here in Arizona? I'm sure there's like a Repticon or something coming up. I don't know if I want to vend Repticons. I might just vend only the Phoenix Reptile Expos, but how many geckos would you recommend producing before vending? Okay, so if you're looking to vend an expo, here's how it works. The table, at least here in Arizona, the table costs you $250. Getting a state license to sell at the show is going to cost you $150. Renewing that license every single year and paying fines on it if you miss any payments. By the way, I paid $300 in fines for missing 4 payments in a row because I thought I only had to pay yearly, but I had to pay quarterly, and I missed like 3 or 4 payments. They hit me with a $75 to $100 fine for every payment that I missed. Then out of nowhere, they just charged me $30 for nothing. I still have to call them. I have the page listed on my wall. Call them. Why did they charge me $30? And then the other day, they just charged me $10 for I don't know what. So if you have a state license, you're going to be hit with fees and stuff that you have to pay. So just consider that $100 a year, after the initial whatever, like in stating of it. So now you're at $350 to run that show. Then you need to buy display casing, cups, food for the show, tablecloths, and all that stuff. Average in another $300 for stuff to run the show. Now you're at $600 to vend your first show. Then on top of that, if you're selling leopard geckos, very few people are going to buy from you if you only have one table. The people that get bought from are the people that have like 5 tables, the people that take up a bunch of space. And people are not willing to pay high dollar prices at shows. So expect anyone to buy a leopard gecko at a show for $50. So now if you've spent $600 to vend this show, you now need to spend, what is that? 50, let's just say $500 because that's easier to divide. $500 divided by $50 a gecko, that's 10 geckos you need to sell. You know how many geckos I sold with my status and reputation as a leopard gecko breeder and a YouTube channel and Instagram and 5,000 subscribers on YouTube and 15,000 subscribers on Instagram and another, 1,000 subscribers or followers on Facebook. You know how many geckos I sold at the last show? 3. I sold 3. But I did sell them for like 150 to 200 bucks, but I was very, very lucky because those people who bought from me know who I am. People who don't know who you are, they're only going to spend $30 to $50 on a leopard gecko. You know why? Let me tell you why. Because everybody else in the show is selling leopard geckos for 30 to 50 bucks. Even if they have crummier leopard geckos than you, people just can't get over the fact that you're selling a gecko for 200 bucks and they're right down the street in the show, they're selling a gecko for $30. They won't get over that fact. They will go to that person with the $30 gecko and buy it. So that's another reason why, if you're trying to make a living out of leopard geckos or be profitable, you need a lot of geckos. You need a lot of geckos. Or you need very high quality geckos and a lot of time to develop a name for yourself, because, why would somebody buy, like, for example, why would somebody buy a clown from you when they could go to like Bubba's Geckos or maybe like Tucson's Finest Leos that is like established in clowns now, or like Matt Baranek himself, the inventor of the clown. So you have to ask yourself, it's going to be hard for you to sell when you're brand new, even if you're buying expensive geckos. So there's a lot of different models, but as of right now, leopard geckos is a tough industry to compete in. My recommendation, if you want to make a living out of leopard geckos, you need a lot of breeders, because then you can control your price and feel good about it. You could sell geckos for whatever, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, even as low as what normal wholesalers pay, $20 to $30 for a gecko. You could sell them at that price and you're still making some money, and you could sell the higher end stuff on the side and let that sell as time goes on. But you need some kind of recurring income if you're doing it as a living. If you're just doing it as a hobby, you don't want the headache of selling low end geckos, because you have to sell a lot of them. We're talking like 1,000 a year low end just to cover your expenses and whatnot, and that might not be worth it to you. So anyway, there's a lot of business topics that I could talk about, but just vending a show, at least for your first show, you're probably going to spend $500 to $600 on all the equipment and time and gas and everything that's licenses that's needed to vend that show. After that, it might only cost you $300 to $400 to vend a show with only one table. So it's not necessarily you want to bring a ton of geckos because they might not all sell. It's just you want to price them at the point that people are going to buy them. 30, 40, 50 bucks, maybe $75, And that's one of my reasons for producing a lot of geckos, is because if I want to do shows, I know that the people at the shows, they only want to spend like $75 max. So I need to bring a lot of geckos to sell at that price point, or at least try to compete at that price point. I soaked a crested gecko in sugar water, and it wasn't to remove a sperm plug. It was for a hemipene that was out, and it never worked. So I took him to the vet. They put it back in. The next year, he prolapsed again. His hemipene fell out again. And this time, I talked to some other breeders. I left him alone. I made sure his cage was clean, and it was back inside of him in 5 days. So you should put many times and black knights together. Yeah, because you paid a lot of money for those black knights. You want to produce a lot of black knights. The problem is black knights are so inbred right now that you're probably going to have a lot of infertile eggs, and you're probably going to produce a lot of small black knight leopard geckos. But the reason I say to still breed more black knights is because you need more. You need more to work the projects that you're talking about. So and incubate them for females. So if you produce 5 Black Knight leopard geckos this year and you incubate them all for females, now you have 6 Black Knight females going into breeding next year. And you could breed them to Mandarin, you could breed them to Black Knight, you could choose the Black Knights that are bigger to continue the pure Black Knight line, and the Black Knights that are smaller to breed into other genetics, you know. How's the business? Are you guys in the black yet? No, we are absolutely not in the black. That's a saying that I just learned about. So being in the red means that you're in the negative. It means your business is losing money year after year. So I think last year for 2021, we were in the red. I think $50,000 or $60,000. So that means that the company took a $60,000 loss in 2021. But that's because we made some investments and stuff like that. And investments count as expenses. You know what I mean? So however you want to look at that, those investments should make us more money long term. But yes, we spent a lot of money. So our first year, year number 1, we were in the red, $70,000. Year number 2, $50,000. So we are trending down. This year, we might not be in the red, even though we did buy some high-end animals this year. I am selling on a more regular basis and I am making money, but the expenses are still very high. So if I had to guess, we would still probably be in the red $20,000 to $30,000 this year. And then next year we might be profitable. Profitable means you're in the black now. It means you're making money rather than losing money. However, I'm not paying myself yet. And that's not good because you can't have a business that's in the black, but you're not paying anybody to run the business. I have to put down my salary as an expense eventually one day. I'm not even paying myself for the last 2 years. So that's technically an expense that I'm not accounting for. So let's just say hypothetically, next year, the company profits $50,000. Let's say we're in the black $50,000. We make $50,000 more in sales and revenue than expenses, right? So we profited $50,000. I didn't even pay myself yet. And the amount of work that I do over here is easily worth a $50,000 salary. So if I paid myself a $50,000 salary, I would break even. The company would break even. Now, running your own business is cool and it is fun because at the end of the day, you're working for yourself and also you get to write off a lot of expenses, right? You get to write off a company vehicle. You get to write off shelving, housing, lighting, heat tape, investments, rent. You get to write all of that off and it's fun, but a lot of work. And it takes time to make it a full-time thing. And yeah, this is my first business I've ever run and owned. So there's little learning stuff along the way. And when you do it all yourself, like me, think of this. I'm in charge of accounting, making sure all our numbers are correct and making sure that when I work with my accountant at the end of the year, every single thing is documented. We're talking about tens of thousands of information that I need to document for the accountant. I am my own research and development person. I'm constantly studying how to grow, what projects to invest in, what racking to buy, building racks, all of that. I am the day-to-day laborer. I'm the one cleaning the animals, feeding the animals. And I'm also the marketer and in sales. I'm the one marketing the animals, selling the animals, creating content, social media, all of that. I'm sure there's another division of a company that I'm forgetting. Research and development, sales, marketing, day-to-day operations, accounting. I think I already said, yeah, accounting. So anyway, if I missed a department there, let me know. But usually when you go to work for somebody else, you're only responsible for your department. If you work in accounting, you're in accounting. If you're in research and development, you're in research and development. If you're in daily operations, the day-to-day work, you're in day-to-day work. You know what I mean? But if you own your own business, and you don't have any employees, you're self-employed and you're the only employee, you do it all. You know, so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Geeky Gecko Creations, you're the guy I tell people has the best info. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. That's my only goal, is to just have quality content, quality channel, quality animals, quality price. I love leopard geckos so much. I love reptiles so much, and I just want to make a career out of this, you know? So can you do more giant leopard gecko content? I'm sure you mean. Yeah, so I actually have a super giant leopard gecko, and I'm breeding him right now to other big geckos. If you don't know anything about Turkmenicus or Fasciolatus, they are very big wild type leopard geckos, and they are absolutely inbreedable with giant leopard geckos. So that's kind of my goal for giant and super giant project, is to just make the biggest gecko ever, right? I want to make a leopard gecko that's like 15 inches. If we could get to 20 inches one day, that would be great. And to do that, I'm just going to breed it into Turkmenicus and Fasciolatus and try to create the biggest leopard gecko, you know? But if you want to follow somebody who like does just super giant leopard gecko stuff, Calico Geckos is great. Elite Geckos in the UK is great. And there's a few others. There's a few others. I'll see you. Have a good night. Reptilian Nation. Oh yeah, Bam Bam, that's right. You're in Vegas. You're not in Arizona. Now, is Vegas or is Nevada just starting to do reptile expos, or have they had reptile expos? Because I heard that they just had like the first Las Vegas reptile expo or something like that. Yeah, super giant leopard geckos are very beefy. Personally, this is just me personally. It's not funner for me to handle a super giant leopard gecko compared to a normal leopard gecko. So I don't focus a lot on super giants. Plus, the level of color in their mutations is not as good as normal leopard geckos. But like, I would like to make a black knight super giant one day. So like, I do have plans, but I don't 100% like focus on super giants. It's definitely tough to compete with Gecko Daddy. Yeah, so that's another thing too. There's a place for everybody. Gecko Daddy will always be a really good marketer in his niche, but the more leopard gecko people there are at shows, the more leopard geckos will become popular. And Gecko Daddy has some very expensive geckos. Next time, go over to his table and take a look at the cheapest gecko he's selling. And you want to beat that, so that when people are at the show walking around, they know that you can beat his prices. Even if you can't beat his quality in the amount of numbers that he's producing and has on his table, you offer a competitive edge. In business, it's all about finding a competitive edge to grab attention away from your competitors to yourself. You know what I mean? And yeah, that would definitely be my recommendation for leopard geckos. Do it as a hobby first, and then if it becomes successful 5 to 10 years from now, then you could go into business. There's very few people that jump into leopard geckos as a business year one and get rolling right away. That's kind of like what we did, but we had a few things going for us. We had a family member invest probably about $60,000 to $70,000 into the company, and most of that money was spent on ball pythons, because that's the most profitable area of reptiles right now, is ball pythons. So we spent a lot of money specializing in some very rare and expensive ball python morphs. However, at that point, when I decided to spend that money on ball pythons instead of leopard geckos with my investor, family member, partner, I had a lot of leopard geckos. I had like 300 adults that were getting ready to go into breeding, so I knew that I could make a bunch of leopard geckos. That being said, we invested about 12 to, I think it was $14,000 into 6 black knight leopard geckos. So we did make a large leopard gecko purchase, but it was only the black knights. And then after that, I've maybe only put in like $20,000 into leopard geckos, and we've put $50 to $60,000 into ball pythons. So if you just want to do leopard geckos, you could put it all into leopard geckos. And I would buy clown, I would buy like red diamond, maybe purple head. I'm not too much into purple head. Maybe inferno, maybe mandarin. Mandarin's not for everybody because it has the chance of NDBE, but I like the chance of NDBE and creating different combinations. So I like the fact that mandarin is linked with NDBE for the most part. And then I can also create 100% het free NDBE line. You know what I mean? So like I can create mandarins that are 100% not het for NDBE as well to compete. And nobody has that. Nobody has a line of mandarins that is like guaranteeing you that it's not het for NDBE. Everybody that sells top end mandarins, like even Gecko Daddy, if you look at his fine print on his what's his top end thing called? Tango Crush. If you look at the fine print on his website of Tango Crush, he says has a chance for NDBE. Red diamonds, not red diamonds particularly, but Barry Gardner, who created the red diamonds, he is also known for his mandarin projects that has a chance for NDBE. I asked him about that. So I would like to create a whole line of mandarins that are 100% het free for NDBE because that would be very valuable. So anyway, Inferno is a great tangerine line. Purple Head's okay. Clown is a great tangerine line. What's the one I'm missing right now? Tangerine Tornado is okay. And same with the Tangle Crush. That's also okay. Or I mean, both of those are good. You can consider both of those top end stuff. I would say the people in Asia still have the American market beat. Like the best looking leopard geckos are in Asia. No doubt about it. The best looking leopard geckos are in Europe or in Asia or in Canada. America is like last as far as best looking leopard geckos. We have some great looking leopard geckos down here, don't get me wrong. But if you start looking at Canadian breeders, European breeders, and Asian breeders, hands down, they got the best quality stuff. And that's why I want to import some of that stuff over here as well. It'll mix up the bloodlines, number one, and it will also fast track the American hobby as well. But that's another reason why I'm breeding in numbers is because we're bound to catch up. It's just going to take thousands of geckos for us to produce to catch up. So. I got Vionate, Brooke. Thank you, though. I was able to buy a bunch in bulk if you were talking to me. Gecko Pong, thank you so much for your $1 super chat donation. I really appreciate that. If you guys don't know, we really, really appreciate and welcome super chats. We don't make a lot of money on YouTube. Every month, I maybe if I'm lucky, I make $90 on YouTube per month for all the videos and content that I'm producing. So any super chats and super stickers that you guys would like to buy, really appreciate that. And if I make $90, I can't even get that deposited into my bank until I cross $100. So that 90, like let's say this is how YouTube works. Okay. Let's say January, you make $90. They won't give it to you. You have to cross what they call the $100 threshold before they pay you anything in your account. So February, you make $90. They still won't pay you, right? Because you didn't cross the $100 threshold. You know, March, let's say March, you make $100. Now they're going to pay you everything you've made up to that point. So March, they'll pay you $100 plus $90 plus $90. So you'll get a total of $280 in March for the last 3 months. But it still averages out to about $90 per month, you know? So it's not a lot, but it's something better than nothing. Payroll. There you go, Daniel. One aspect of business that you have to deal with is payroll. Now, obviously, I just have to deal with myself, but let's say we hire Brooke as an employee or part-time employee. I have to deal with the hassle of worrying about lawsuits with Brooke, insuring Brooke, putting Brooke on the books, making sure Brooke is happy. And then also making sure that that's another thing, customer service. Let's say you give all this responsibility to an employee and you're like, oh, this is great. I freed up 10 to 15 hours a week of my time. I can take on a bunch of more animals and give that responsibility to the employee, and then the employee quits. And now you have 2 times the amount of work, but no employee. So there's a lot of things to think about when you're opening up an actual business. So Desert Dragon Works, Lisa. Hi, just for a minute. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well, Lisa. Good to see you out here. Look forward to seeing you at a show in the future, maybe, or something. How often and how long does it take you to feed and clean tubs? That's a good question. So things are constantly changing around here, the way I do things, but I would say all of the adults, I'd probably say all the adults that we have is like 15 hours, and then all the babies that we have is like 15 hours. So it's probably about, let's just say 20 to 30 hours a week of cleaning time for the adults and the babies and juveniles. And that is including feeding and stuff like that. But that is not including taking pictures, editing the photos, putting the photos up on Morph Market, putting the photos up on your website, talking to customers, shipping out geckos, creating videos. So that 30 hours of just cleaning that I mentioned does not include another 30 hours of customer service, marketing, social media, promotion, sales, all of that, video making. It doesn't include the 30 hours a week that goes into all of that. So I would say on a weekly basis, I'm probably working somewhere between 60 to 70 hours at least. And I really think I'm working 24/7 because my brain never stops. Like if you send me a text message, that's work, right? Like I'm texting you back at 11 o'clock at night. Or even if I'm in the middle of something, I'm texting you back as soon as I can. That's pressure that I put on myself. So I'm never really off of work. But if I had to put a concrete number on like how many hours I spend actually doing work, let's just say 60 hours a week is a concrete number. And I'm not even paying myself. So, but having your own business and reaping the benefit of the future benefits of owning a business is worth the investment for me. So Salt Lake City is Utah, but I'm going to Vegas to do a show also. I really want to get what's called a Sprinter van. Do you guys know like how Amazon rolls up to your house? I want to get one of those vans for reptiles, and then I could travel to Texas, Nevada, all of Arizona, New Mexico, and California and do shows. So that would be great. Daniel, we have a super giant straight from Tremper, big girl, almost full grown. It takes longer. They should be full grown before breeding. Yeah, I from talking to Calico Geckos, he says he doesn't breed his super giants until 2 years old because he needs to make sure that they're going to grow big or whatever. So it might be a little bit longer of a process. So look at this rolling in. Maybe sometimes I just need to remind people because when I watch ball python live streams, those guys are always donating and crazy amounts, like $20, $30, $50, $100. Trust me, I'm not asking you to do that. I don't care if you donate anything. I'm just saying it all really, really helps. But leopard geckos is not as common to see live streams. And the people that are doing leopard geckos are not looking at it as business mindseted as ball pythons. So when you see a ball python live stream, those guys are donating cash, like 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 to the live stream. But that's because ball pythons is looked at as more of a business, whereas leopard geckos is looked at more as a free hobby. Now, I would like to change that. For anybody that wants to make an actual gecko business, I want to share with you my successes, my failures, how to make it possible, what to realistically expect. I would like to make it more business minded, but it's going to take time to adjust. So anyway, Esteban Ribas with the $2 super chat donation. Really, really appreciate that. Gecko Punk with his second donation of the night for another $3. Really, really appreciate that again. Thank you guys so much. Sometimes those $1, $2, $3 super chats push me over my $90 limit because I can't tell you how many months I end them. I kid you not. Actually, let me show you guys right now. I can't tell you how many months I end the month on YouTube at like $95. But you know what? They're not going to pay me that $95. They won't pay it to me until I cross the $100 line. So let me show you where I'm at right now. Here's a snapshot of where I'm at for this month. This month, I've made $90.43. You see that? So right now, I would not get paid out by YouTube if they cashed me out now. Now, the cash out is technically considered on the 21st, I believe, is when YouTube refreshes their monthly basis thing, right? So they don't end the month on like July 31st is the end of their month. No, July 21st, it starts a new cycle for them. So July 21st to August 21st, August 21st to September 21st, September 21st, October 21st. That's how YouTube does their monthly thing. So, I've already been, I think I actually crossed my $100 barrier last month. And so they sent me $100 or whatever. Like a couple of days ago on the 21st. That's when people get paid out, is on the 21st for YouTube. And they sent me, I think it was like $110 or $100 I made or something like that. It wasn't that much. But you see what I'm saying is I just showed you I'm only at $90 right now. I can't tell you how many months I end on like $95 and I did not meet my threshold. So like the $6 that you guys donated in today's chat could put me over my threshold for next month and I'll get paid instead of not getting paid. So pretty cool. Thank you guys so much. What different breeder channel would you recommend? Oh, there's a lot of channels. It depends if you like ball pythons or geckos. Let's just talk geckos. Robbie's Reptiles, we're going to have on a live stream, I would recommend. There's not a lot of leopard gecko channels, but Geckopia, I would recommend. Luna Geckos, I would recommend. And us for leopard gecko content. That's like the top 3 leopard gecko channels for content right now. Matt Baronic is coming back, with his channel of Sassobek Reptiles. I don't want to use the word worship that guy because I don't believe in idols and that kind of stuff, but like that's how seriously I watched his stuff and I binge watched his stuff. And a lot of what I do comes from tactics, techniques, and stuff that he has done. Now, I've developed a lot of stuff on my own that I like to do, and everyone to a certain degree within your geographical location, you have to find out what works for you. Because like Matt is located, I think, in like Connecticut or Chicago or something. And what works for him up there might not work for me in Arizona. So there is a learning curve as far as like what to do. But those 4 channels for leopard geckos, I would definitely check out. But there's not a lot of leopard gecko content creators, but there are more leopard gecko content creators that are starting to create channels. You know what I mean? It's not really taking off yet because YouTube likes to promote the pet channels that are popular, right? Like they'll find clients for you, but let me put it to you this way. The amount of time, videos, and content that I've created putting into leopard geckos to get 5,000 subscribers over the last 2 years, if I put that time into ball pythons instead, I'd probably be at 20 or 30,000 subscribers because YouTube would be pushing my content more because there is more people into ball pythons and that kind of stuff. And even crested geckos. Right now, crested geckos is taking off and a lot of people are growing their channels very quickly. Robbie from Robbie's Reptiles, he is growing his channel, his crested gecko channel 10 times faster than I'm growing my leopard gecko channel. And I'm putting in 10 times the amount of videos into my channel than he is into his channel. Why is his channel growing faster? One reason: the crested gecko market is growing faster right now than the leopard gecko market. So we got to do something about that. And that's why I'm doing something about that. And I'm using my time and platform to promote leopard geckos, because the more that leopard geckos are promoted, the more that people will create channels, create content, draw more people in, make it a more popular hobby, make it more business minded. So people are starting to buy into leopard geckos as a business instead of just as a hobby. All of that will drive the hobby forward. So Extreme Exotics Canada, I don't know them, but I'll have to check them out. Oh, that's my dad. Shout out to my dad, Frank L. Casalina. That's really cool. Appreciate you, Dad. I mean, he was there for me buying my very first reptiles, helping me sneak reptiles into the house, helping me like build giant cages for reptiles when I was younger. So definitely gotta give a real big shout out to the pops there. So Daniel Woodward, for this to grow, we all have to be promoting leopard geckos, more collectors, more pets, more buyers, more social media. Yeah, because believe it or not, leopard geckos are still the #1 selling lizard in the world, along with bearded dragons. And even in America, there is no shortage of leopard geckos, but there is a shortage of people that are willing to spend money in leopard geckos. And there's a couple reasons for that. Leopard geckos produce very quickly, so there's a lot of breeders, a lot of competition, but also there is not a lot of content of people out there like myself right now talking about, hey, if you want to make a leopard gecko business, this is how you go about doing it. This is what's successful right now. This is what you'll need to start an actual leopard gecko business. There's not a lot of that going on. There's almost none of it going on. And so because of that, people never spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $100,000 into starting a leopard gecko business. Now, I know somebody out here in Arizona that last year spent about $100,000 starting a leopard gecko business, buying racks, buying expensive geckos, paying off employees, all of that kind of stuff, you know? So they're one person doing it. But they're not promoting it. They're not promoting how to do it. So that's not helping other people be motivated to learn how to do it and encouraged to do it. And honestly, right now, I would not promote anybody to spend $100,000 into leopard geckos unless you're willing to wait 10 years to get that money back. Because right now, it's taking a long time for leopard gecko breeders to generate their money back because the hobby is at a low point. I try to tell people, nobody believed me. I created a video, is the leopard gecko hobby dead? And a bunch of the big breeders, you know, kind of crapped on that video. But in reality, show me your PayPal account with $200,000 in it from breeding leopard geckos. Show me your PayPal account for making $50,000 making leopard geckos a year profit. Nobody can do it. Nobody will do it because number one, they're either not doing it, or number two, it's such a competitive space that they don't want you to jump in to see that it's possible. And yeah, so those are the two different reasons. Either they're not doing it, which is what I think, they're not doing it. Or if they are doing it, they've been around for a very long time. They've been around for 10 years. Look at all the people that are actually doing leopard geckos full time. Don't get me wrong. You could do leopard geckos and make $50,000 to $100,000 a year and then subtract expenses and your salary, and maybe you're profiting $20,000 to $30,000 a year for the business. Maybe. But that's after 10 years. These guys have been doing this for 10 years and they're still only profiting $20,000 to $30,000 a year. If you look at a ball python breeder that's been breeding for 10 years, they're profiting $200,000 to $300,000, if not more, per year. if not more, because the market is just so much further past where the leopard gecko market is. And it's 20 times the amount of work right now to breed leopard geckos for profit than it is ball pythons. So for all of these reasons, people have not promoted leopard geckos to be a business. But I'm here to tell you it's possible. You just got to have the heart and passion for it, because you're going to be working 20 times harder than the ball python breeder, 10 times harder than the crested gecko breeder, for 20 times less the profits. So you really got to love leopard geckos to be doing leopard geckos. So all of those big breeders that want to poop on me and say that I'm a crummy person and I'm bad for the hobby and I don't care about leopard geckos, I would not be doing leopard geckos if I did not care about leopard geckos, because of everything I just stated right there. I love leopard geckos with all my heart, you know. As far as reptiles are concerned, I love the colors. I love the size. I love that they're little predators. I love that they come in so many different combinations and variety, and we're still not scratching the surface of the possibilities of that. I love how fast they breed. I love how fast they grow. I love that I can feed them mealworms and I don't have to feed them dubia roaches, silkworms, hornworms, any of that kind of other stuff that's more complicated to deal with. Crickets. Oh, Lord help me if I had to feed leopard geckos crickets. So anyway, rant over on that. But it's absolutely possible to do leopard geckos as a living. There is just a way to scale it and be successful within 5 years, and there's a way to scale it and be successful within 10 years. It just depends how fast you want to grow. If you want to take the long approach and be successful in 10 years, then I would recommend, for lack of a better term, forgive me for putting it this bluntly, I would recommend kissing the butts of the people that are successful now. Kiss Gecko Daddy's butt. Kiss Gecko Boa's butt. Kiss anybody's butt who is trying to slander or give you a bad name. Do not speak your mind like I do. Do not instigate fights like I do sometimes. Do not create a bad reputation for yourself with these big breeders because they don't like you breeding lemon frost, or they don't like you selling geckos for wholesale, or they don't like you because you're new and you're talking about this stuff and you're creating content and you're educating keepers. Do not do any of the stuff that I did if you don't want to breed in mass quantity like I am. If you're breeding in mass quantity like I am, for lack of a better term, these guys could kiss my butts. It doesn't matter what they say about me. It doesn't matter what they think about me. It doesn't matter what they do to me. It doesn't matter how much they slander my name, talk bad about me, hate me. It doesn't matter, because I'm producing so many geckos that I'm making a living and a career out of it, and I'm making really cool geckos, and people are buying my geckos, and people like my content. It doesn't matter. But very few people are in the position that I'm in to where that doesn't matter. And if I'm being 100% honest, I would have kissed more butt coming in, because I would be making a lot more sales and a lot more money, and I would have a lot bigger of a following right now if I did not ruffle the feathers of all of these people. However, I did not want to do that for the most part. I had to make a decision. Do I want to speak my mind and what I view as the truth, or do I want to submit, fall in line, and kiss butt for 10 years? I did not want to do that. Okay, like, I care about truth and honesty and self-promotion too much to try to put myself under somebody else's brand or under somebody else's wing or under somebody else's shoes. But that is a huge risk, guys. Listen to me when I tell you this, because I care about you when I say this. I risked everything on the fact that I was not going to kiss these guys' butts and not ruffle feathers. And I regret it a little bit, because had I kissed their butts, had I not ruffled their feathers, they would be on my side. They would be promoting me. They would be pushing sales towards me. They would be collaborating with me. But the fact that I frustrated them, I upset them, even if I was speaking kind of truthful things, I didn't have to do that. I'll be honest. I'll be humble in admitting that if I did not do that, arguably it might have been the better business move for me. But at the same time, I don't want to work for somebody else. I don't want to be the slave of somebody else. I want to be able to say what I want to say, do what I want to do, make a living out of it. You know what I mean? So forgive me if that kind of seems like a negative scheme on things, but I want to warn you. I want to bring the warning available. Don't try to do what I did, because very few people doing what I did actually make it. There are so many people that got discouraged and left the hobby because they spoke their mind, because they wouldn't kiss butt. They're gone. They're out of the hobby. They're not selling geckos anymore. They're not breeding geckos anymore. Their name is irrelevant. But one thing I have going for me, I've made up my mind that I will not give up. I've made up my mind that even if they talk negative about me, I'm not going to spend time like talking negative back and trying to defend myself. I've done that, but I'm over it now, because that takes too much time, too much energy, and it's taking money away from you. It's taking focus away from you. And I actually just saw this on Shark Tank. Let this be a good business example. I'm watching all of Shark Tank, and I'm on season 10, like episode 24. I don't remember the lady's name, but she's the inventor of Spanx. I know that most of you guys out there are guys right now, and you don't know what Spanx is. But Spanx is basically like a panty. I don't even know what it is. It's a panty for women. I don't know what a spank is. But anyway, it's an undergarment for women. The inventor of Spanx got knocked off within her first year. She got betrayed. Check this out. A giant company came to her and said, "Hey, we want to have lunch with you. We want to talk about your business with you, and we want to buy into your company with you." So they led her along, and she wound up having lunch with them. She wound up talking about her business model and what she's doing with them. And 8 months, or not 8 months later, a few months later, they launched an $8 million marketing campaign that infringed on her patent against her. It infringed on her patent. They ripped her off. They knocked her off. You know, like somebody makes a backpack and somebody else can knock off and make that same backpack. They knocked off her product after telling her, "We want to have lunch with you to be a business partner." She made the decision, even though she had a patent. She had a patent where she could have went after them for millions of dollars in lawsuits. But it would have took a lot of time. It would have took a lot of energy. It would have took a lot of focus away from her business being successful. She chose not to do it, and now she's more successful than them. So that's the lesson that I'm applying right now, that I've learned, is instead of getting defensive and defending my name to all of these people, as soon as they make a negative comment, delete. I'm not even commenting on it anymore. As soon as they message me something negative, block. If there's no communicating with them and they're just cursing me out, block. I got no time for that. I'm focusing on what is going to make me successful, this company is successful, and eventually my children and whoever I leave the company to successful, right? Because like that's the vision that I'm looking into the future. And also you guys, the more time that I spend fighting with other people, the less time that you guys get. So I apologize for all that time that I've spent, whether I was talking negative at times or whether I was trying to defend myself or whatever the case is. That's no longer my goal, you know, and I'm going to spend very little, if no, effort on that kind of stuff anymore. And I would suggest you guys do the same, you know, because that will bring you far. Even if you don't completely agree with somebody, or even if you don't completely believe in what they're saying, there is a benefit to not kissing their butt. Kissing their butt's the wrong term. There is a benefit to not ruffling feathers. It will be better for your business because they will promote you and they won't be slandering your name out there like they're doing to me. The one thing that I got going for me is that I have a lot of geckos. I have a lot of high quality geckos. I have a giant platform, one of the biggest platforms on YouTube for leopard gecko specifically. Not everybody has that. And if you don't have that, then I would caution against that. And if my business partner ever winds up listening to this, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I got a 15% shareholder business partner. My business partner invested $70,000 into our company, and he owns 15% of the company. And I don't mean this in a bad way in any way, and I don't ever expect this of him. But he has always shown me that if we get into trouble, he's there to back me financially. If there's a lawsuit, there's a good chance he's going to back me financially. If there's geckos or snakes that we need to invest in, that's $10,000 or $20,000, and I don't have those profits today, I could go to him and be like, "Hey, brother, do you have $10 to $20,000 that we can invest into this?" If he says no, okay, but he might say yes, or he might question me. "Frank, why? Show me that this is worth $10,000 to $20,000." And we've had that conversation time and time again, where I bring him a really great deal, and he's like, "Show me why I should pay $15,000 for this deal." And I'll show him the numbers. I'll talk to him about the future projections, and he'll either say, "You know what? Don't think that's a good deal," or he'll say, "You know what? You've convinced me. That's a good deal. Here's 15 grand." If you don't have that, I have that. If you don't have that, you kind of need to tread on eggshells a little bit, because your name getting slandered could hurt you really bad. It's not going to hurt me. I'm going to keep moving forward. I've invested a lot of money. I'm investing a lot of money. I'm going to keep it moving, but it could really hurt you. So I would suggest, with all the pride and ego inside of you, if someone's giving you problems, delete, block, ignore, be nice to them, whatever the case is. Yeah, don't burn bridges. So Daniel says, "Hey, Frank's dad." That's really cool. Yeah, I gotta love my dad. Matt's like the OG Gecko Whisperer. Yes, he is. But he views things differently than me a little bit. I've reached out to Matt to collaborate with him. Some of you guys probably follow him and stuff. And he was anyway, I still love the guy. I don't think he's the fondest of us. I would love to collaborate with him, love to talk to him, love to have him on a live stream, and maybe we will one day. But just the way that he thinks and his perspective right now is very different than us. And just because someone's an OG doesn't mean that their system is going to work for you. However, he has some of the best leopard gecko videos out there, and I would highly suggest binge watching his content. It's great stuff. I binged watched his content to learn everything I learned today. But at the end of the day, you need to take the knowledge of others and apply it to your own observation, your own choices of what's important to you, what your goals are, and what works for you. Because what works for him might not work for you. For example, he uses 1 scoop of osteoform, 3 scoops of ionate, and 1 scoop of calcium sand for his supplemental powder. I don't use the calcium sand. I use the 1 scoop of osteoform, the 3 scoops of ionate, no calcium sand. He likes the calcium sand. To each their own, right? Oh, okay, Extreme Exotics Canada is Holly. She is great. I keep trying to get her on a live stream. She's a little shy, but actually we just confirmed a Canadian breeder that will be on our live stream. That's also a leopard gecko breeder. Let me show. They are they're family owned and operated for, I think, 20 to 30 years. And We're trying to get this guy on the show. He's closing in on a time with us. NBK Reptiles. He has a ton of great reptile videos, leopard gecko videos.
The thing that
Actually, there's a video that I'm gonna make. I took a tip from this guy. Nobody else in the whole American hobby does what this guy does with his lay boxes, but I just started doing what he does with his lay boxes, which is adding vermiculite to it to maintain moisture. And I'm going to create a video on that so that you guys can see. Really cool dude. He's going to be on a live stream probably in a month or two. And then the other Canadian breeder, which is what's his name? The Urban Gecko. We're trying to get him on a live stream as well. So Canada's doing it big. We love Holly. Holly's a little shy. She says she's not so camera friendly, but we'd love to get her on a show because she has some of the best looking geckos in the world as well. So I think leopard geckos are cooler than crested geckos as well. I even made a video on it that shows that I think they have more personality because leopard geckos have more face muscles, which makes them more relatable to humans. They have the ability to blink. They have the ability to close their eyes. They have the ability to squint, and crested geckos don't. It's important we bring the younger generations to leopard gecko hobby, and that's exactly why I make these videos and stuff, is to create a platform for people to have fun and learn and stuff like that. So keep doing what you're doing. Never kiss butt. Yeah, I wish I would have kissed a little more butt, but or done it differently. You know what I mean? Maybe been a little bit less passive aggressive. I was never aggressive, but I was passive aggressive. With some of the videos I would make, some of the things I would say, it definitely egged these guys on and provoked them to the point that I don't even want to talk about some of the stuff they say to me behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. We won't go there, but I will just say it's really, really bad. And even though I've never officially cursed them out or done anything like that, I'll be honest in admitting that I never had to egg them on, knowing that they were frustrated. I never had to egg them on. I never had to try to defend myself. We all want to defend ourselves, right? When you get attacked, you want to defend yourself. But in business, sometimes that's not the best move. Sometimes it's just not. And I used to use the example of Donald Trump. Donald Trump said offensive things. He did offensive things, controversial things, and it won him the presidency for 4 years. But it didn't win him the presidency again. And Donald Trump was never asking people to give him their money. Let me explain. Geeky Gecko Creations is asking people to give him, the company, Geeky Gecko Creations, their money. Donald Trump was never asking people to give them their money. All you had to do was vote for him. Super easy. It's free to vote. But when a bunch of big breeders are saying a whole bunch of negative stuff against Geeky Gecko Creations, that most of them are lies or over-exaggerated at best, okay? But nonetheless, they are slandering my name, defaming my name, talking negative about Geeky Gecko Creations. When they're saying all that stuff, and then I put up a gecko for $500, people are going to think twice about spending that $500. You know why? Because you're asking them to spend money with you. And there's a whole bunch of people talking negative about you. So I used to say when I first came into the hobby, no, bad publicity is not, or I used to say there's no such thing as bad publicity. I recant on that. I take that back. When you're asking people to spend money with you, there is a such thing as bad publicity. When you're asking people to follow your YouTube page, it's free. It's free to follow a YouTube page. That doesn't matter. But the minute you ask somebody to spend $200, $300, $400 with you, it's no longer free. And they're going to think twice about spending that money with you based on what other people are saying. Okay. And I use the example of like, do you guys know like Brett Cooper? That's an extreme right channel. There's extreme left channels. Both of these channels are super, super popular for their opinions, controversial, and what is it? Not thought provoking, but anger provoking content that they create. But it's free to watch that content. It's free to follow someone on YouTube. So they have tens of millions of followers. But the minute you ask somebody to spend money with you, it's another story. And in the leopard gecko world, there's not tens of millions of people spending money in the leopard gecko world. It's a very, very small market compared to the market of people willing to spend money on funny t-shirts from a YouTube channel that's controversial or something, you know? So anyway, I think you get the point. It's different when you're asking people to spend money with you. Yeah, and the kill them with kindness thing, like, oh my gosh, Bam Bam. I tried that so many times, but when they kept creating like negative stuff, it made me feel like I had to defend myself or wanted to defend myself. I felt super hurt and super like, not necessarily like offended, but I had to feel like I had to defend myself. And that doesn't help you. The more I defended myself, the more that those guys came after me. And so what I'm doing now is just not defending myself. Like I said, delete, block, whatever. I'm forgetting it. I'm focusing on you guys. I'm focusing on everything else. You know what I mean? My geckos have their own personality. Absolutely do. Absolutely do. I could show you the gecko from hell that I have in my collection right now, and I might sell him. He's a pure black knight leopard gecko that is a little bit smaller than average, but he's not too much smaller than average. But he's not super, super black, but he's pure black knight. He came from 2 pure black knight parents. So that means that he could have pretty black babies if paired to the right stuff. But he is the devil himself in gecko form. It's crazy. Cool. Well, my voice is so tired, guys. I really appreciate it. I got a little bit more work to do. It was so fun hanging out with you guys tonight. I really, really appreciate being able to spend this time with you. I'm sorry if you feel like I got a little negative at the end. That's not my goal. I just want to talk about it and also warn you guys some of the things to be aware of if you're trying to grow your own following. Learn from my mistakes. Don't defend yourself. Don't look for fights. Don't, or be careful. Just be careful in that, because the leopard gecko world is a very, very small world compared to like the political world. The political world is huge. You could absolutely be on the extreme right and successful, or the extreme left and successful. In leopard geckos, you can't be extreme right. And I mean, not can't, it's very difficult. And take it from somebody who's in my position right now. I'm working like a dog to make this business work. And I could have made it a lot easier on myself had I not ruffled feathers unnecessarily, even though I felt like I was just defending myself or trying to defend myself. I didn't, if I just, I don't know, if I just, try to maybe take some of those guys' advice even and listen to them and do things that made them happy to a certain degree that I could live with, they would have been a lot more supportive and encouraging towards me and collaborative, which would make me more popular as a business, and they would be sharing sales with me instead of taking sales away from me and telling people not to buy from me, etc. That's headache that you don't want, right? So just learn from that. Anyway, love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. Keep an eye out for that next video. It might be on parasites, or it might be on a better way to keep humidity in your leopard gecko boxes, which we'll talk about the vermiculite mixed with peat moss, which is also cheaper. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order.